me be your fantasy. Tonight, it's a night of love and romance, and I'm gonna hold you, baby, and let me make love to you. Stay with me tonight. I'm gonna make your favorite dish, baby. Let me be your fantasy. Tonight, it's a night of love and romance, and I'm gonna hold you, baby, and let me make love to you. Won't you stay? Won't you stay? Won't you stay with me? Won't you stay, baby? Won't you stay? Stay with me for the rest of the night. Won't you stay? Won't you stay? Won't you stay with me? Won't you stay, sugar? Stay with me for the rest of the night. Stay with me. Stay with me tonight, and let me hold you by your hand, baby. Let me be your Superman. Tonight, it's a night of love and romance, and I'm gonna hold you, baby, and let me make love to you. And the garden is so high, it's so high. Oh, you said it's sweet, and you won't it's good looking. Oh, with mommy and daddy. Oh, standing by. Mr. Prince was drunk at it. Woo. Thank you. We're paying tribute to South African jazz legends, and at this time we would like to do a tune made famous by Ubabu, Mr. the late Hugh Masekela, and I'm glad I'm with one of the legends, Mr. Prince Lingwasa, to join us in this tune. Hope you enjoy it. The name of the song is called Lizzie. Lizzie, aku kontombe kitanda jengawe kutikizule makikawa gangawe uyo yanili stand aside. Lazy, 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 lazy. Oh, kondobe kitanda jengawe. Oh, kutikizule makita makangawe. Uyo yalidi. Stand aside. Mr.
Prince was on Fugle Horn. Was on Flugelhorn, Mr. Lungelo Machini on keyboard, Mr. Steven Mabon on bass, and Mr. Jasmine Gotu on drums. And yours truly, Hendrick on vocals. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Tribute to South African Jazz Legends, and all thanks to the National Arts Council for making this possible. And this morning we are really blessed and honored to be having the legendary Ntate Prince Lengwasa and Ntate Lengwasa Dumela.
Dumela, Bra Hendrick. It's really great to be here. No, ra leka ra tsoga. Things are what they are.
They are.
Yeah.
The new normal.
It's the things of there. It's the things of there.
Oh, man. Speaking about the legendary, the late Dr. Jonas Gwangwa.
Yeah.
I mean, you've worked with him.
Oh,
Tell
yes.
us, what is the experience like?
It was great to get to know Ntate Gwangwa and work with him. When he came back from exile, actually, he had come back Amandla. And in 1991, we formed a band called Umbongo, which is the year that we had a great concert called Unity 91.
Wait, is Umbongo, is it the same? Was it, I know your song, Umbongo.
Now, that song came about because of the band called Umbongo, which was Glenn Mafuko,
yes,
Vivian Majola, the late Glenn, Moses Taiwa Mulelekwa, Sipho Mchali on drums, Vivian, and myself. And we did 3 weeks at Kipis to launch Umbongo. And we did a tribute to Victor Ndlazilwane.
Wow.
And who did we have on vocals? Stompy Mavi.
Wow.
So 3 weeks. I mean, we had that place packed for 3 weeks. It happened. So yeah, when Tate Gwangwa came back from exile, we became his backing band because when he came back, he was working with Amandla Ensemble, and some of the guys were being integrated into the SANDF and so forth. So they were not really all the time available. And he said, "Well, you guys have a band, you know. Maybe when you have gigs, you know, you can call me. But when I have gigs, I would definitely like to use you guys." And yeah, that's how Glenn ended up playing with Tate Gwangwa from then until his passing.
Yeah. Oh, wow. It's amazing. So there's someone, in fact, I'm sure that there's a lot of viewers, especially young people, who don't know our history. And I believe that you have so much to tell about our South African, jazz music in particular. So I feel that we need to really tell these stories. And I see quite a lot of jazz legends are leaving us. And we are blessed to have you. Now I called you a legend.
Well, I guess
called you a legend.
some people think I'm too young to be called a legend. And if you think I'm a legend, hey, I've been around since 87 as a professional musician.
Wow.
So yeah, I think
deserve it.
I have worked with a lot of principal musicians in South Africa. And it's an honor to have known them and to have worked with them. So yeah, please, I don't mind being called a legend.
I mean, yeah, you are a legend, and I've seen your work. I mean, there's an ensemble of ladies that you did a Joy of Jazz. Was it 3 years ago?
It must be 4 or 5 years
4 or 5
ago.
years ago.
We did Joy of Jazz with a group of ladies. We called the project Amaqhawekas.
Yes,
and
yes.
it was in that year. Our night was on the 24th of September, which is Sibongile Khumalo and Letambulu's birthday.
Wow.
So Heritage Day falls on their birthday, and it was great to be able to pay tribute to them using an all-ladies band.
My mom was also born on the 24th of September.
Oh, wow. Well,
yes. Wow. See, this is what I'm talking about, that you need to be celebrated. I mean, there's so much that you're doing, in the townships, the work that you have done, you're teaching at the school as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you can also tell us about that,
I guess, growing up in the Salvation Army, in the church, one learned to give, one learned to sacrifice. And so I'm involved with a number of projects teaching young people. My passion really is working with young people, grooming them, showing them the way. And then they can once they found themselves, they can go up there and become world leaders and pop stars, jazz stars. No, seriously, because not everybody goes into the jazz world.
Yes,
some people go to gospel, some people go into pop, but they would have had the training and the nurturing and love of being trained and looked after by a number of people.
Correct. What was like, I've heard you speaking about King Kong. Do you have any experience during around that time?
That was a little before my time when King Kong happened.
Okay.
Talking about King Kong, actually, it celebrates 60 years tomorrow of having ended in London.
Wow.
60 years ago, Bontate Gwangwa, you think of him having left us now at age 84. So 60 years ago, he was 24. These guys were in their 20s. Imagine a 24-year-old Tate Gwangwa, maybe a 21, 22-year-old Hugh Masekela. The energy, And then there was a Kippy Mweketsi, who, of course, is the one who was like their teacher because he nurtured them. When they did the jazz epistles, he was the oldest musician among them. He was the most happening saxophonist at the time. And I mean, even now, when you think about Kippy Mweketsi, it's like we're talking about an icon, a legend,
True.
So thinking about that, the number of people that he influenced, they went on to become big stars in the world,
True.
Hugh. Brabani. Talking about Brabani, there's a story that Brabani tells, when he was playing and Morolong was around him, he was saying to him, "You are Morolong, Munna, because you actually are better saxophonist than I am. You're gonna be a big star." This is what Kip Mweketsi was saying to Brabani. And Brabani never disappointed. I mean,
Yes,
please,
I mean,
Brabani is one of the people
Yeah.
that should be celebrated.
True.
And
Our
he's-
own Charlie Parker.
our
very
own Charlie Parker, yes, sir. You know,
And a lot of young people don't know who Brabani is, you know.
It's
And
a
I
sad thing if they don't.
True. And I feel like, you know, such platforms we need to bring such legends here, and they, you know, they tell their story.
Yeah.
So that we document this, so that we you know, our young people, our generation and generations that comes
come.
after us to know our heritage.
no, it's very true. Brabani has a beautiful story. I mean, when he was, you know, growing up playing penny whistle,
Hey.
he would used to make more money than his dad. Kakwedi, over a weekend playing penny whistle. And he would supplement the family's income, you know. Or when he had given out all the money, shared it with the guys that he plays with, unasalaka about 20, 30 pounds.
There's a lot of money.
And a lot of people who were not earning 20 pounds a month at the time. So, you know, his story is really an amazing story.
Amazing.
He should come to this program and tell it himself, because he is one beautiful soul and one really humble and very giving human being.
True. And you know, Relongwa, how do you feel about the music industry now?
The music industry, nah? Somebody asked, is there an industry called the music industry? It's almost like the truth. The truth of the matter is, this is dog, it's dog. I mean, we are stuck in this, you know. Somebody was saying they are a professional musician, they train young people, but they are afraid of sending them into this thing. It's almost like when people come and say, I want to learn how, you know, the ropes of jazz, I want to learn the ropes of music, you're like, hey, I wish you could find another path. Because
Come on.
no, come on. Hey, yo, but things are bad.
Things are really
You know,
bad.
yeah, no, things can be bad.
Can they be fixed though? What do you think?
Well,
is
I
there
think
hope?
there's a question of attitudes and a question of people being aware that musicians are also human beings. They have responsibilities.
Correct.
They have children to take to school. They have bonds to pay. They have cars to run. Otherwise, they won't be able to get to those places. I mean, right now we're in the pandemic. Musicians are not working. There are no gigs. And then you hear of the stories that you know, money is not coming through to musicians. I mean, we have to fill up the form just to get a grant here, 6,500 or even less, you know. Whereas other people are prepared to help. Other countries have made monies available for 6 months periods and things like that, with 2 pages to be filled. So I think the humanness, you know, needs to come into play.
Correct.
Our government and the powers that be need to realize that we sacrificed. I mean, if I tell you my story, once we were going to Orlando Stadium to raise funds, Bayete, I learned 15 songs between Mega Music and Orlando Stadium. I learned 15 songs. I had to write them down, you know.
Catholic soul.
Catholic Solfa,
Le manuscript.
the manuscript. So I was, you know, notating some of the things. Telling was like, oh, it's easy, I'll remember. And yeah, we got there. I did the gig with the guys, 15 songs. It was a fundraiser at Orlando Stadium. I think we had a number of people. Baba Mal was one of the people who had come, you know. And the guys were like, wow, you can learn so many songs in one day. But it's finding the methods, you know.
Finding the methods.
That is a sacrifice that we made. We never got paid for that. But today, hey, remember us, please. The struggle must not just continue for us to be poor. No, something has to be done.
You know, really talking about methods.
Yeah.
how important it is for, I mean, you're a trumpet player,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure there's quite a lot of, trumpet players out there that looks up to you. I mean, I'm from a music academy of Gauteng,
Mm-hmm. Sure,
school of
sure.
the late Dr. Johnny Mekwa. May his soul rest in peace.
Hey, bro, Johnny.
Uh,
Baba.
you know, I know of a lot of young musicians that you inspire.
Sure.
I mean, songs like Abuya Kalungomo.
Yeah.
I mean, the songs that you featured in, they have transcribed your solos.
I hear some of these things.
When they play, I even know, and I looked at them, and I'm like, these ones. So that's how much they love you.
Wow.
So I want us to actually just go a little bit about trumpet playing, the method of trumpet playing, especially talking about range. And I mean, you go so high with the trumpet. A lot of people trying to go high, they break, and then some complain and go, this is human tissue.
Yeah, but it happens to all of us.
Yeah.
I think the thing is to practice, give yourself time to develop the muscle. I mean, embouchure is a muscle, Your lips come not knowing anything. And then you teach them. And that muscle has memory. And as you learn to go low, you can get the range going up. And it's a question of practicing. These things don't come by osmosis and magic. No, we need to work. I always say to people that I teach, Bafet, we need to be dedicated to our instruments. So that when your instrument sees you, it wants to jump to you to hold it, not jump away from you because it knows, oh, now he might be taking me to some place to embarrass me. No. I mean, that's what Dizzy said. Dizzy held the trumpet like this, and he says, oh, this thing is so beautiful, man. It's just waiting for some monkey to pick it up so that it can mess him up if he doesn't practice. So there's nothing more than practice. And I had a book when I started playing that said when you start playing an instrument, trumpet, it's like 100% perspiration and 1% aspiration as we go. And then the perspiring becomes less, the more you, and then the aspiration becomes larger because now you are getting into it. You are able to find yourself. Strangely, I was reading yesterday about Ntate Banzi Bangani, one of the most beautiful trumpet players to come out of the East End. Now, I come from Springs. He comes from Painville. This is heritage. These are the people that Elijah Nkonyana. These are the people who taught
Johnny
Brayu. The people who taught Johnny Meko, Bo Prambuzi. So there's a whole thing about knowing who our people are and celebrating them. So I stand on the shoulders of giants like Johnny Mekwa, Brian Tusi, Elijah Nkonyana, Huma Sikela, Banzi Bangani. And these are the people we had to study and know what they were doing in order to find our voice. The same thing. So it doesn't surprise me when you tell me, there are people who are transcribing things I've done.
They like you.
They start finding funny things that I did. It's like, and it's a good thing to be able to have that kind of influence. And I'm really humbled that there are young people who
look up to you.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
True. Maybe if we can do just a little bit of an illustration, maybe of low range, how to, because Lynn I tried trumpet at some point.
Whoa, no. Is it really time for it's too early in the morning to try and be
maybe let's
doing exercises.
Maybe let's try maybe we're helping somebody. We are definitely helping somebody.
Helping somebody. Hey.
We are helping the young people
Help
out
me
there.
Somebody. I don't know what you want to hear.
Yeah. So by the way, that's a fugal horn.
It's too early in the morning. And then, you know, something similar to that would be a Glenn Mafuku tune, for instance, like, what is it?
Oh, yeah.
Waibuye.
Yeah, Bible.
Yeah, so working on tone. I grew up in the church, so a lot of hymn playing actually helps tone, you know.
Oh,
Because
wow.
one of the things that are important in playing is the sound.
The sound.
Like, we can hear the ideas and stuff like that, but if you have a good sound, a sound,
sound.
to you know, to speak English, a sound, then it makes things very interesting.
Correct.
So yeah.
Is there any particular reason? Because I've seen you, we've done a couple of tunes there. So you've been changing instruments. You went to flugelhorn for the other songs, and you went for trumpet for other songs. Is there any particular reason why you, for a particular?
I think the sound of the timbre is not the same. You know, when you're looking for a warm, low sound, the flugel has that beauty of a sound. You know, the trumpet is also very bright. You can make it dark, but trumpet is just very, very bright.
Yeah.
And Sidney Mavunda always says trumpet is for nothing but war only, you know. And some people make the trumpet sound so beautiful, you know. And it's all work. Some people only play the trumpet. I love playing cornet, flugel, and trumpet, you know. But I know Kaya prefers me to play flugelhorn.
Flugelhorn. You're a master.
When I am around him, I only play.
No, for sure.
You know whose tune that is? It starts like it's Sandu, but it's Bra Winston.
What? Hey.
Oh, and that cap is on the side. Oh, man. You know what? I want to tell you.
Please.
I've been blessed
Ne?
to learn and share time with some of these beautiful souls. And I was looking at the people on the screen. Winston, Tatu Monabis. I used to call him and say, "Dicelo thetha no Tatu Monabis." And then he says, "Ngubani lo gezayo?" Get why? Undibiza ngotata but undibiza ngegama. You know? I mean, I see Sibongile Kumalo. My sister.
I know.
My friend, my confidant. You know, I've been blessed to have shared time with people like that. And I mean, there's 2 nights that I did with Miriam Makeba when she came back home at the Standard Bank Arena, part of the band, and Brahu was like in the audience, and he says, "Melaiti, hey, why man?" I was like, "Oh, thank you," you know. So yeah, in a little bit of time I've had around these beautiful souls, I feel blessed that I've learned and have been able to contribute towards the development of South African music. and have my voice somewhere there, you know. So yeah, I mean, we can sit here for the whole morning and share experiences, but I don't know how much time you have, you know, because my stories are many. My stories are many, and they can be told for years. But maybe one day I should write a book
Oh, maybe,
and
yeah.
tell people about where I come from. You know, as Mwanam Ruti, I mean, I've lived in Sharpeville. I walked on the place where the Sharpeville shooting actually happened. You know, I lived in Kimberley. I met Robert Sobukwe when I was 9 years old. You know, I've lived in Mamelodi, and I know for me, Mamelodi was the mecca of jazz, where I started learning about things. There was a gentleman called Jeff Mpagat. But Jeff, he worked for the American embassy. At his house, that's where I met Lififi Tladi as a kid, you know. That's where I first heard John Coltrane, Pharaoh Sanders.
Ooh.
There's a beautiful song I always think of when I think Pharaoh Sanders. Prince of Peace. Prince of Peace. It's a beautiful
Is
piece.
it because it
And
has your name
well,
on it?
maybe it was because of that, but
Yeah.
peace is a very important thing.
True,
Because in one of the tunes that we did with Brian Winston, he says, Aliki for Saldana, he calls it, give peace a chance. And we need peace in this world. We need coexistence where people see each other as human, see each other as brother and sister, and not be thinking, how much can I make out of this
of this
person,
one.
you know?
Relunga, you know, I mean, this morning you're going to pay tribute to Ndate Jonas Gwangwa. Which tune did you, or rather, do you love of Mr.? Do you want to maybe play it? Maybe Loro Namo, let's just have that little moment of honoring him.
You know, I love a lot of Ndate Gwangwa's songs, but there's a song that takes me to church. It takes me to a place of understanding a deeper spiritual thing. And it's called Flowers of the Nation. And he always dedicated it to the ladies. Whenever we did a gig and, you know, wherever we were, he would say, I see Flowers of the Nation. And by the way, we have beautiful sisters, aunts, mothers, grandmothers.
True.
Our flowers are really beautiful.
Beautiful. Actually, I'm reminded of how random he was when he said, Jumela!
It's the thing
Just
of
out of nowhere, he was just, Jumela!
Yeah,
And
let's
go
get
back.
the Gwangwa for you.
Yeah.
So let's just do a line from Flowers of the Nation.
Okay. Wow, Relengwa, yo. I felt it. I felt that you went really, really far, really far, and you could tell that you had a very close relationship with Tate Gwangwa. And we're wrapping up by thanking the National Arts Council for making this possible, and Relevant Tate Longwasa, thank you for coming through.
Ke nna ke lebogang, Nkosi.
I feel your stories need to be told. There's so much that this world needs to know about our heritage, about our South African jazz music. And thank you for sharing your story. Thank you so much for
It's
sharing
an
your
absolute
story.
pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Won't you stay with me? Won't you stay? Won't you stay? Stay with me for the rest of the night. Won't you stay? Won't you stay? Won't you stay with me? Won't you stay, sugar?
Okay, we're paying tribute. You know that we're paying tribute to South African jazz legends. And at this time, we would like to pay homage to Ndate or Tata, Winston Mankunku Ngozi. And we're going to take one of his tunes called Yakani Ngomo. Hope you enjoy it.
Zabuyinkomo emasimi etikula amathole eqhubetheka wathini umama yakhala inkomo Zabuyinkomo emasimi etikula amathole eqhubetheka wathini umama yakhala inkomo Sisanokaba, sisadi mijakulo. Shukuta makula sambe mami. Kalutana, kalina, kalisija, kaliko. Gwenzinjani na. Zabuyinkomo emasimi etikula amathole eqhubetheka wathini umama yakhala inkomo Zabuyinkomo emasimi etikula amathole eqhubetheka wathini umama yakhala inkomo Zisadokaba, zisalibijakulo. Shukuta makula sambe mami. Kalutana, kalina, kalisija, kaliko. Gwenzinjani.
Mr. Tugel Machine. Lumwas on Fever Horn. Hey Jasmine. Mr. Jasmine, good. Mr. Prince Lumwaza, everybody. The legendary Prince Lumwaza. Thank you, thank you. So now we're going to do our last tune called Spain, sung by Mr. Chicoria. So we're paying homage to the late Chicoria. Spain, yeah. You gazed at me, I see moments of history. Your eyes meet mine, and I dance to the melody, and we'll live again as if dreaming. The sounds of our hearts beat like castanets, and tomorrow will bring you near me. I can recall my desire, reverie is on fire. I can picture all the yesterday. I can say, I can be every time you speak again. I can remember the day in December, the leaves so brown on the ground. The Spain I did love and adore you. The sounds of our hearts feel like castanets, and tomorrow will bring you near me. I can recall my desire, reverie is on fire. I'm gonna picture all the yesterday. I can say, I'm gonna pick every time you say, you're Spain again. As the moments of history, your eyes meet mine, and I dance to the melody, and we live again as if dreaming. The sounds of our hearts beat like castanets, and tomorrow will bring you near me. Here we go. I can recall the desire, reverie is on fire. I'm gonna picture all the yesterday. I'm gonna pick up the time you say, just wait, okay. for yesterday, yesterday I could say I can have every time you stay again. Mr. Steven Mabona on bass, Mr. Jasmine Koti on drums, Mr. Lungelo Machine on keyboards, and Mr. Prince Lengwasa as our guest trumpet player, and I'm yours truly on vocals, Hendrick Minyeki. Thank you so much. And special thanks to the National Arts Council for making this possible. We're paying tribute to South African jazz legends. And today we are speaking to the legendary trumpeter, Mr. Prince Lengwasa. We need to celebrate our legends while they're still alive, and I believe that they don't really have to reach a certain age to be celebrated, but it's the amount of work they are doing in our communities. And Mr. Prince Lengwasa is one of those legendary trumpeters that we really need to celebrate. And this morning, we are celebrating the legendary trumpeter, Mr. Prince Lengwasa.